Hi, Mark Portlock here, and thanks for having a look at this video on how to get out of overwhelm. Now I'm going to start this one with a question, which is this. It's simply, what is overwhelm? Now granted, it seems like an easy question with some easy answers, but bear with me for a moment as I hope you'll see why answering that question helps. Well, before I do that, I just wanted to say that I'll be looking at a particular type of overwhelm. It's what I call the too many balls in the air type. You know, it's the type that there's too much to do and too little time to do it. And I'm sure a lot of us have felt that way at some time or another, and maybe you have too. I sure know that I have. Okay, so back to that question. What is overwhelm? Well, to answer it, I'd like to show you a definition in a way that you might find a bit unusual, but either way, I hope you'll find it useful. So have a look at this. So what you'll see there are two circles. There's the blue one on the outside, and that blue one represents this. That represents demand. That represents the demands that are on you. And the red one on the inside, that represents cope. That's your ability to cope. And so you'll see then, I hope, that the difference between the two over here, let me draw it there, that represents overwhelm. So the demands that are on you, typically those might be from a number of sources. So it may be, for example, from yourself, friends and family, perhaps work. And for me it was work. At one time I was working in a firm that had what's called a matrix structure. And what that meant was that I had multiple responsibilities to multiple people. And believe it or not, I actually had 5 bosses. So talk about being overwhelmed. It sure was, and it was nuts. Anyway, the videos that follow will look at both those things. So both increasing your ability to cope and reducing the demands that are on you. And the good news is this: both these things are likely more within your control than you might think. I'll give you some practical suggestions, plus some really interesting stuff on behaviors, and we might get a bit deep. So, before I close, I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of what I'll be focusing on, which is this. It is simply quality of thinking. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, here's a couple of examples. When someone said something to you and you've thought, hey, do you know what? That's really good thinking. Or maybe what you've done is what I've done, say having screwed something up, and I've said to myself, now why on earth did I do that? The difference is simply down to quality of thinking. Now, if that makes sense to you, and I hope it does, then it leads to what I believe is an important question, which is this: is thinking a skill? To be honest, I believe it's a very important question, because if thinking is a skill, then it can be learned, just like you can learn any skill. Here's an example. Would you agree that playing tennis is a skill? Sure. Well, if you can improve your tennis by learning tennis, then you can improve your thinking by learning thinking. That makes some sense? I hope it does. Anyway, that's where I'll be going with some of this stuff. So I hope that if this is making some sense to you, then you'll watch some more of these. Plus, along the way, just maybe it'll help you or someone you know get to feel more in control and less overwhelmed. So that's it. Until next time, that's it from me. Thanks for watching.